afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Gareth Soloway here at Verified Investing Studios. My pleasure to be with you guys on this Monday afternoon. We're going to take a look at what the action was today. Then we're going to go into some hardcore chart analysis and look at some key movers on the day. We have a lot today. Apple was a big mover. Nvidia kind of whipsawed a little bit. We'll talk about that, as well as CrowdStrike and oil and natural gas on the move as well. Taking a look at the markets today, we have the Dow up 50 points, so small gain there. NASDAQ is having a little bit of a better day, up about 1/3 of 1%, trading up 60 bucks, and the S&P 500 is up about 14 points, or about 0.3%. So again, slight green day across the board, nothing crazy, but again, just a slight gain there. Now, oil's a big one here, up $2.50. That's 3.32%. The key here is I've talked about a retrace to the scene of the crime. We did see that today. I'm going to show you that chart in just a minute. Gold getting a small bounce after that massive flush on Friday, and Bitcoin is down ever so slightly. That also fell on Friday, and it's hovering honestly right around those levels. So this is where it's at right now, guys. I'll take you guys over to the charts. We'll go through the actual charts themselves. S&P 500 here. This is the daily action on the 10-minute chart. So remember, you have multiple time frames that you can look at as a trader or an investor. I usually like the 10-minute chart because it gives me kind of a play-by-play of the intraday action, and then I like to go to the daily, weekly, and monthly charts to give myself a better view of the bigger picture. So what we saw today was a small open lower, then the gentle float volume today, again, rivaling half days from last year. I mean, that's how light the volume has been lately. That created this gentle float to the upside. We did see a little bit more choppiness in the later afternoon session, but all in all, like we said, a little bit of an update on the S&P 500 today. Now, there are some movers that I want to discuss today. So if we take a look at the S&P 500, we still are at a key level here that on a bigger time frame, and this is the monthly chart. So again, just to give you guys perspective, the monthly chart continues to show us that we are at a pivotal level. The 2007 high, many of you guys may not be aware, maybe you weren't investing back then, but that was just before the Great Recession, a period where I traded through. That was relatively early in my career, and it was nuts. I mean, you think that you've seen something even during COVID, and this was like COVID, but for essentially a year and a half, the COVID collapse. I mean, it's incredible type action. Banks, big banks failing. We're not just talking about little banks and state banks. We're talking about the mega players, Lehman Brothers being one of them. In any case, if you take that high just before that big collapse there and you connect it through this high, you remain and get that high pivot, which again is a level that I continue to focus on, especially going into Wednesday's CPI data in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the Federal Reserve. And guys, I just want to remind you all, don't forget, I will be live with Dr. B. We'll be trading the Fed decision live here right on Verified Investing Network. And again, you can tune in and watch that for free. Next up, let's flip over to a couple of the movers today. GameStop, which was up pre-market. Look at the craziness of this chart. I mean, it just looks like a whole hodgepodge of ups and downs. But one of the things I want to point out here is that today, GameStop opened higher and more selling came in. That's very normal, but it did find support at a gap fill. So you guys know, you've heard me talk about gap fills before, and you can see that it came right down here. There's a little tail right there that touches that gap fill, and that's where GameStop bounced. This is one of the key plays that I use to trade both swing trade and day trade markets, is looking for key gap fills on the chart. They tend to be good areas of support when price comes down into them for a bounce, and then resistance, if it goes into it, hits a gap fill, you'll get a pullback. And again, a great level to trade off of, and it was on GameStop today. Now, if GameStop continues down, you have a subsequent gap fills. There's one right here that I'll watch, and another one right down there. So 2 more gap fills to go. For me, is this something that I'm buying and holding? No, not even a chance. I don't have a good read on it. There's not a lot of fundamentals behind it. The positive for the company is that when this stock was going nuts like crazy, they were able to raise capital. If they're smart, they'll pivot to a different business model, and then that might be something that creates value down the line. But right now, we haven't heard anything about it. It seems like, honestly, they like to sit in their ivory tower and just take the payouts and just keep the business the same. Hopefully that changes. All right, couple other things to go over here. Apple had its big event today. Its WWDC event, their big unveiling. I've been through so many of these Apple events in my 25 years, and I would say 90% of them are sell the news events. Today was no different. Apple currently trading down almost 2% on the day. The beautiful thing about this is if you looked at the chart, you could actually see that the chart was telling you it was likely going to be a sell the news event. Now, psychologically, I know that this is a sell the news event most likely anyways, and that's what it was. But look at this chart. I mean, really incredible. If we zoom out on this chart, look at this. So if you go back to the low that was at the start of 2023 right here, you can see I've circled it right there, and you connect it through this low here in 2023 right there, it then hits this level and goes through. So price broke down, chopped around, and then just into this event, we tagged that line again, and price has sold off. So again, it's a beautiful example of how charts can be used to guide you to what type of reaction you're going to get from big news events. All right. Now, again, is it 100% all the time right? No, absolutely not. Nothing is in investing and trading, just like in life. But the key is that it gives you an idea, it gives you a bias, it gives you a probability, and that's what it did today. And you did see downside on Apple there. Really good chart example here. Another one to take a look at is Nvidia today. Nvidia is slightly green, up 76 cents currently on the day. That's about a 0.6% gain. Early in the day, take a look at the 10-minute. Early in the day, it had a big flush right here. This was right when the market opened. It had a big flush. Then it actually had a remarkable recovery and has just been chopping sideways. But again, the stock split is over. You can clearly see the stock is now trading at around $121, and people that had one share now have 10, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of trading, is this overbought? Yes, but it is in the AI space, and obviously it is the chosen one, if you will. And so it doesn't necessarily guarantee it's going to pull back. But in general, if you ask me and said to me, well, what have the last 10 major stocks that have had these type of stock splits done in the subsequent 6 to 12 months? The one that comes to mind was Tesla. Tesla continued to chop afterwards, but eventually it rolled over in a massive way. So again, all I can do is look back at history and use history as a guide. CrowdStrike was a big mover today, guys. Take a look at this. I did highlight this trend line. Take a look. So CrowdStrike getting added to the S&P 500. Last week they had good earnings. Take a look at this beautiful, beautiful trend line going from this high to this high. And if you look right here at the highs of the day, it pierced this 380 level going to about 385. It's now down $10 off of this level. I posted this to members in the Advanced Trader Insights, which is only $20, by the way, on verifiedinvesting.com. And again, I said short it when it was up here in this upper range, and sure enough, it has come in already $10. Great trend line example. Stock was overbought, all-time highs. I love those scenarios where you have a trend line like this. It just rejects that in the short term. All right, so that's where we stand on that. Speaking of good calls, this morning, if you were on the game plan, you heard me say that I did go short natural gas with members of Smart Money stocks and ETFs, as well as Smart Money commodities and miners. It was right up here. We were trading at double top when I did it. We already took a 14% gain off of that trade. We bought KOLD in stocks and ETFs and already banked 14% intraday on that pullback in natural gas. I'm still holding my other position on UNG short as I want to just let one be able to run a little bit. That's money management for you. So again, good to take some off the table and then you can let the other half run. That's the way to do it in my opinion. But classic double top, short-term extended. My guess is you have a little bit more downside here, maybe down here, and then we'll have to start evaluating what natural gas does. But again, very cool to see how the charts continue to work and then produce profits for investors that know how to read the charts. Other things in motion, let's talk Bitcoin. I shouldn't say in motion because Bitcoin's barely moving. Basically just some sideways chop. It was a little bit above 70,000, a little bit below, right around 69, a very tight price action. The biggest thing to me is number one, and I talked about this in the game plan this morning, you still have the sideways chop above this channel, so it's still bullish, right? But what you're watching now, at least if you're looking on a very micro basis, you zoom in and you say, okay, are we starting to form maybe a little bearish pattern like this, which then could yield a retest of that level. Now, again, as long as you don't close below this level, that's okay. That will be support, and the idea would be maybe it can then break to the upside. If you close below here, then you risk going down further, but that would be the potential bearish consolidation, maybe a retest of that trend line right there. Lastly, just to touch on oil, guys. Oil had a beautiful move to the upside today. It did retrace to the scene of the crime. Let's flip over to oil here. So I have this trend line going through all of these lows, and I love my trend lines, guys. You guys know I don't use a lot of craziness. And by the way, I think this is one of the positives for why you guys watch is because I don't have crazy amounts of lines everywhere from different indicators. It's just like, dude, this is all you need. You don't need craziness, right? So simple trend line right to here. Retrace, here is your breakdown, here's your retrace to the scene of the crime. My guess is oil starts to roll over here again in the next few days. Did I take a little short position? Yes, I did up here, but I left room in case it wants to go a little bit higher into this kind of retrace area right up in here as an additional opportunity to add to that short. The idea behind oil is also the bigger macro play. I think the strong jobs number on Friday got the bulls kind of energized here, but at the same time, I don't expect the strong economic data to last. In addition, the Fed's not going to lower interest rates if things are going like this. I mean, if we see job growth continuing at these levels and the stock market continuing to be at all-time highs, I don't even see a rate cut later this year. Now, if the stock market drops and the economy weakens, yes, we'll get at least one rate cut later this year. Just touching on oil here, on gold. Minimal bounce on gold after that big flush down here. Guys, again, small bounce. The key is going to be watching this level here. This was your support level until it broke. Now it's resistance. Watch for price to maybe bear flag there and then make your next leg down on gold. It's slowly getting closer to my level where I'm going to start accumulating gold. I continue on my bigger macro thesis to be a big fan of gold, but again, I was very clear. Once we got up here, I said, all right, guys, it's got to digest these gains, look for pullbacks, near-term bias negative, longer or mid-term bias is still on the bullish side. So that's where we are at this point, guys. My little summary with trading the close for all of you. Thank you so much for your kind words and comments and sharing these streams with your friends and family. It means the world to us here at Verified Investing to be the beacon of, data, probabilities, non-biased BS, all that stuff that comes from mainstream media or social media. I want us to be right there for you guys. We are here for you, the people, the investors out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the game plan, 9 a.m. Take care.